Hello, Facebook friends from Beautiful You community. It's an honor to have you here tonight. Sorry, it's an honor to have myself here tonight to share with you a little bit of my learning from my journey in regards to developing intuition. First of all, thank you very much for Ollie for approaching me and having me on here, to, allowing me to share what I've learned throughout my journey, and as well as it's an honor for me to serve every single one of you who are going to be listening to this live replay. And for those of you who are tuning in later on, feel free to just comment down if you got any questions whatsoever. Just just ask me, or feel free to message the group, and I will do my best to answer all of your questions. I'm not going to wait for anyone to come on live, obviously, so I could just go straight into the content for those of you who are listening to the replay. And first of all, I'd just like to say, why is intuition important? Intuition is important in aspects in relation to, it's important. It's probably the most important thing. If I was to say, it is the most important thing in our lives, because we are actually, intuition is how our soul, our heart, our soul, the true us, it's how our soul communicates to us. So intuition is how we, everyone, it depends how, there's a lot of people, first of all, I'd like to say the difference between intuition and gut instinct. They're not the same thing, which I'll tackle later on. But intuition is really it's how our soul connects with us. It's how our soul try to tell us something, and it does it through intuition. So intuition tells us what's true in life. So it's really important that we listen to it. We listen to in our intuition, because it's our divine guidance. It's kind of like, some people call it God talking to them. Some people call it their higher self. Some people call it the divine message from above. Some people call it spiritual downloads. Some people call it through a channeling. It doesn't matter what words you use. The truth is, the fundamental thing about intuition is the fact that it's a higher message from above, and it tells you what is true for you in your life. Okay? So that is why intuition really is important to us. And for those of you who are tuning in live, make sure you say hello to me, by the way, so I know who's on. And I'll be able to, if you got any questions, just feel free to ask me as well. I like this to be an engaging live video. So why should we why should we train on intuition now more than ever? Hi, Mina. It's an honor to have you on. Thank you very much. So why is intuition important? We've just tackled that, but why is intuition important now more than ever? Well, because intuition, you see that a lot of people talk about consciousness. A lot of people are in the spiritual world, in the spiritual space, they talk about that they sense that the vibration on this planet is changing, is shifting, right? Consciousness is shifting, for the collective consciousness is shifting. And that is true, because a lot of people are now waking up, listening to the heart, because a lot of people are done. A lot of people are done being socially conditioned. And part of that also is because of technology. The fact that technology has improved so much that we are actually moving towards the robotic age. The robotic age is coming very, very, very near. So a lot of the jobs, all of the mundane jobs, all of the repetitive tasks, like for example, sooner or later, McDonald's is going to be replaced. All of the staff that works in McDonald's, they're going to be replaced by robots. So technology is also moving. Technology is one of the most important factor playing in this role in terms of shifting consciousness of the planet, because what technology is doing is removing all of the boring, repetitive, mundane jobs that human beings are doing, which allows us as human beings to focus on shifting our focus on how can we be creative, how can we add more value to the world, how can we tap back into that human aspect of us, because all of the repetitive stuff will be replaced by robots. So humans will not need to be stuck in this dead-end job doing things they don't love to do anymore. So it encourages entrepreneurs to rise up, and it also encourages us as human beings to reshift the way we focus and think. And intuition plays in that part, because our intuition will tell us exactly what is true for us, right? For example, what should we do? What do we love? What's important for us? What would we love to create in this world? Those are all important things. So that is the reason why intuition is even more important now. And as Steven Spielberg said, learn to listen to the whisper of your heart, because ultimately that is what will really truly give you success in life. So intuition actually is a big major contribution factor to our success in life, to us creating our dreams. Hello Irene, it's lovely to have you here as well. If anyone else is online, just want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. Make sure you say hello. Anna, nice to see you. Okay, so make sure you say hello, and if you got any questions as I talk about intuition, do ask me, do let me know. So what I think one of the biggest question you probably have for those of you who are listening. Hey Ben, how's it going, bro? So there's probably one question you guys, for those of you who are listening right now, you probably ask, what makes me credible to talk about intuition? I'll be honest with you. I am probably, I'm not saying this to be humble, but I am saying openly admit that I'm still a student. I am definitely still a student in this topic of intuition, in developing intuition, as well as raising my consciousness. Why do I say that? Because the more I learn, and the more I know, I realize I know nothing. So that keeps me humble, which is great, and it keeps me fascinated. And I realize that the more intuitive I become, the more I realize, wow, there is no limits to how intuitive a person can actually become. It actually opens my mindset and my mind. That's actually probably, back in the, you hear in stories where they have psychics who can tell the future, he can see the future and all of that stuff. That's probably true, and access your dreams and dream walkers and all of that. And, I'm totally open-minded, because the more intuitive I become, the more I practice on developing my own intuition, I realize that there is so much growth. There is so much I can do. It's kind of like, it's like, an analogy I want to give is like you go into the gym and you work out, right? You physically work out, and the more you work out, the stronger you become. And then the more you realize that actually you can get stronger. The potential is limitless. So that is the same when it comes to intuition. So the more I learn and the more I develop my own intuition, to realize I am actually probably only that much intuitive versus the potential is unlimitless, right? But what makes me credible to talk about intuition? Well, I've been training on the art of intuition for the past 2 years. And one of the most credible results that I've gotten is when I follow my intuition and I found the love of my life. So I'd like to share the story with you all. I still remember very clearly. So it was, the reason why was because I always knew what I wanted in a woman, but I was never ready. So, but on my birthday is on the 15th of September, and I never work. It's been a tradition in my life that I never work on my birthday, right? So I always take a day off, and I like to have a lie down, and I like to just, wake up in the afternoon. I just don't want to do anything when it comes to my birthday. I just like to have a lazy day out. So I was on bed. I was just lying on bed, and I was 30 years old. This was 2 years ago, right? It's 2014. I was laying on my bed, and I was 30, and then I just thought about life in general, and then suddenly it just hit me. I was like, wow, I'm 30. It's a new stage. It's a new chapter, right? It's like, I'm not old, but it's a new chapter of my life. And that's when I thought, okay, I just set the intention. And I said to God, I was like, you know what, God, I'm ready for her. Send her over. Just send her down. Just send her over. I'm ready for her, right? So this is what happened. Funny. It's funny because 10 days later, on the 25th of September, I had a photo shoot prepared. So I was rebranding my own personal brand and my image. So I booked a photography session. So I was suited up and booted up. Right? And so after work, I went to I finished work at 4:30. I went to have that photo shoot. So after the photo shoot, it was 6 o'clock, and I was really tired. But on that very same day, I booked a ticket to go to a dating event. Well, it was more like a dating seminar, because during that time, I was still a dating coach for nice guys. That's how I started out as an entrepreneur. I was a dating coach for nice guys, teaching nice guys and shy guys how to build a confidence and to approach women and become the attractive man. So that's what I used to do. So there was this guru that came from this dating guru that came from America. He did an evening workshop, and I thought, let me go and check this guy out. Probably I won't learn much from him, but let me check this guy out. So I booked a ticket. But after the photo shoot, I really didn't want to go because I was so tired. And in my mind, I was saying to myself, well, there's probably nothing I can learn from this guy anyway, right? But here's the funny thing. My intuition kicked in, right? Something inside of me was telling me to go. It was something intuition is different for most people, and it depends on how. It really depends. By the way, this is how you know whether it's your intuition speaking to you or not. And there's no right or wrong way. By the way, I receive intuition in the form of visual symbols and visualization, or sometimes it's like a loud voice talking at the back of my head, like do this, do this, do this, do this, right? Just non-stop, do this. So if you are a visual person, if you learn through visual, you usually get your intuition through visualizations or through a very strong image in your head. If you are if you learn through audio, if you're a more auditory person, if that's your primary input, then you will usually hear words or you see words. If that makes sense, you hear sounds and you hear words, or you hear a certain noise. If you are generally a kinesthetic person and one of your primary learning ability is to learn by doing or learn by feeling, and you're more sensitive, then usually your intuition comes in the form of a sense of knowing throughout your body. You kind of like get a sense of like this energy. You don't know what it is, you can't put it to words, but you just know, your body just knows, right? So you're either visual, so if you're visual, if you're more visual, then you get visual symbols and pictures, images. If you're an auditory person, you can hear loud, you can hear words clearly. So I'm visual and I'm auditory. I'm more visual than auditory. So I usually when I access my intuition at will, I see things, I see my symbols. But otherwise, passively, my intuition will be like shouting at the back of my head, going, do this, like, go to this event, go to this event, go to this event. And I really didn't want to go. I genuinely did not want to go, but something at the back of my head keeps telling me, go, Ig, you have to go, it's important you go. So I thought, all right, then maybe I might get a client. Maybe I might get a client, or maybe I might learn something really, really powerful that I can incorporate into my dating business, right? So I went. Guess what? I learned nothing, and my ego was like, "See, I knew it. I wasted my time here. I could have just gone home and rest." But it's funny because my intuition told me to stay behind, to stay to the end, just stay to the end. And I'm glad I did, because after the event, we went to Hippodrome to the bar downstairs, and we did a bit of networking. And it was funny because it was that event was a room full of guys, and only 2 girls came. And one of the girls was Jojo. One of the girls was my soulmate. And I didn't get to speak to her until the very end. It was by chance that I sat down talking to a guy, promoting my book, selling myself as an authority in the dating space, that Jojo was there listening, and she heard that I had a book. And so she was curious, so she was interested. I said, oh, you have a book? And then that's when we started talking. And it was at that moment that I realized, oh my God, she's the one I've been waiting for. She's the one I've been looking for. And it was just fascinating. And you just know when that connection is there, when you're like, you just know. And I'm glad I listened to my intuition to this day, because I followed through my intuition, and I followed through, and I carried on. I stayed all the way to the end to be able to meet her. And I still love it, I still remember I was really excited. I was like, I got her number and everything, and then I was on the way home, and I was messaging my best friend. So I was like, bro, I think I found the one. It's like, it's just fascinating. Like, I don't know what it is about her, but I think she's the one I'm looking for. It was just so fascinating. So long story short, that is what happens when you listen to your intuition, when you follow through, when you know that when you can hear that voice, that whisper. For me, it's not a whisper. For me, it's like someone's hitting me with a sledgehammer at the back of my head. Right? It's just like someone just telling me, it's like, just go, you dickhead, go. So ever since then, I've learned to not ignore my intuition. It was from then on that I really took intuition really, really seriously. I was like, I want to master this thing called intuition. How do I develop this? How do I develop my intuition ability? How do I actually even access it at will, rather than having it as a passive ability? How do I actively access my intuition whenever I want to get a message, so that I can make a real solid choice when it comes to something big, right? And this is what I do nowadays. I don't actually, I don't make any decisions. I don't make any big decisions in life nowadays without asking my higher self anymore. So would you guys like to know how I do this? Would you guys like to know how I develop my intuition? Let me know. Just say, yeah, baby. Okay. So before I go on talking about that, I want to say what intuition is not, because I think it's so important to really address this. Okay. What I'll do is, at the end of this video, I'll post a link on the comment down below, a link to a video that I made. But that was it's actually a recording from my seminar last year in June, and I actually talked about the difference between intuition and gut feeling, or gut instinct, however you want to call it. And it's funny because I watched a documentary literally just 2 days ago. It's called The Second Brain. And the documentary basically shows evidence and science studies on the gut and what's inside our gut, because people are always talking about gut feeling and gut instinct, and if that's our intuition. I can tell you now that what the scientists have found out, that our body is more bacteria than us, than human beings. We have more bacteria in our body, as we have as many bacteria inside our body, living inside our body, especially in the gut, than there is stars in the solar system. Like billions of microbacteria. So you've probably heard about probiotics, how we have good bacteria, because it's actually the bacteria in our gut that digest this majority of the food that we eat. Because a lot of the food that we eat in life, we're not designed to eat them. For example, milk. Our body is not designed to digest milk. We are tolerant to it, but our body is not designed to digest milk. It's actually the bacteria inside our gut that digests a lot of the soluble content of the food that we eat, and it takes that and converts it into energy for us. And what the scientists found out was that they discovered that there are different types of bacteria, and so depending on what bacteria you have, it alternates our emotion. It alternates the way we behave. So they did an experiment where they took a really calm mice, right? Not just one mice, but loads of different mouse, and they did experiment. So what they did was they took calm mouse and they inject them certain a bacteria, right, which is known for creating hyper reactive responses. So like it gets them excited, and guess what? Within a week or so, all of these mouse or mice? I don't know which one is plural, by the way. Sorry, English is not my first language. Someone help me out here. Is mice a plural or is it mouse a plural? I can't remember. But they took these mice and they studied it, and guess what? Within a week, all of these mice showed really rapid behavior. Like they're really aggressive. They became really, really aggressive. And they did a, thank you very much, Kirsty. Thank you. So mice is the plural. Okay, thank you. See, no one's perfect. And so they took these mice and they did a reverse experiment as well. And they took another set of mice, really aggressive mice. They took these alpha, really aggressive mice that, and they injected them with the opposite bacteria that are known to make you calm. And guess what? Within a week, all of them were as calm as a monk. They were as calm as Buddha. And this was interesting. So they came up with a theory, and that is maybe it's the bacteria that is governing our dysfunctional behavior. Maybe we think we have control over our own emotion, but maybe it's the bacteria within us that is controlling our behavior and our dysfunctional emotion and how we react and behave. And that was interesting. So they decided to do an experiment on humans, but they didn't do it directly. They did obviously they did a different kind. If you watch The Second Brain, it goes through the entire thing for you. You get more details. So if you're interested to know what happens, the evidence is in that documentary. But basically, they proven that as human beings, our gut, they call it the second brain for a reason, because our gut is directly connected to our oh god, I can't remember, hypothalamus, or what you call it. Basically, the emotional part of our brain, the part of the brain that generates emotion, right? Hypothalamus, I think. Hypothalamus, I don't know. Anyway, so that our gut is directly connected to that. So that's interesting. Why do I say this? I'm saying this because I want to illustrate to the point that your intuition and your gut are not the same. Your intuition and your gut instinct is not the same. Okay? There is also another study called cardioneurology. Okay? Cardioneurology, yeah. So basically it's the study of the heart cells. It's the study of the memory cells and the brain cells within the heart. So there are only 3 organs in our body that has brain cells, memory cells, neuron cells, right? That all the cells that emits all these neuron triggers. And that is the brain, the heart, and the gut. Now, the study shows that the gut also has neuron cells, but it has the minimum amount of neuron cells. And the amount of neuron cells in the heart is more than a brain. Think about that. Just sit with that for a moment. All of the neuron cells, basically the heart has a brain of its own. It pumps on its own. It doesn't need you to think to control it. It pumps on its own because it has all of these neuron cells that is always consistently firing out signals to telling it to pump. And studies also show that your brain releases a magnetic field. electromagnetic field around us. Our gut also emits electromagnetic field around us as well. But it's the electromagnetic field that is emitted from our gut is smaller than the size of the electromagnetic field that our brain emits. Okay? Now here's what's interesting. The heart also emits electromagnetic field, but it's like 10,000 times larger than the brain. So whenever you talk about the devil, whenever you talk about somebody or you think about somebody and then that phone call rings, you think about your mum and your mum calls you, or when you're talking about someone and that particular person walks through the door, you know what I'm saying? Speak about the devil. That is intuition, but that is because they've entered your electromagnetic wavelength, the field, and that is you receiving you receiving advance warning about that person. So it's fascinating, by the way. Kirsty say that makes sense as the heart beats without the brain. Your brain. That's absolutely, it's true. So why am I telling you all this? Because I want to give you guys credible information. Look, listen, I am not a spiritual guru. I am not a doctor. I am not a scientist. I am a truth seeker. I am a truth finder, and I'm a philosopher. And I've always have this fascination about and a desire and a passion to bridge spirituality with science. I've always been on this constant journey to bridge magic and spirituality with science and logic. How do they actually fit together? Where's the bridge? What is that thing that keeps them all together? Where is the elements of truth? And what is the woo-woo stuff? What is the actual bullshit? Or what's the fluff? What are the fluffs and what are the truth? I've always loved like digging out what's the real truth. So I'm always trying to make sense of spirituality by putting logic onto it so that it makes sense for all of us, right? So I've always been fascinated with that. And so what I'm saying is intuition and gut instincts are not the same. Your gut instinct is instinct. The word instinct gives it away. Is an instinct, is a biological instinct from your bacteria. It's the signals released by your bacteria that is designed to protect you and keep you safe and survive, or seeking pleasure. So it does two things. Your gut instinct is there to keep you safe by giving you danger signals, or impulse buying, pleasure seeking. So ladies, for those of you who love impulse buying, when you see that shiny object, when you see those shoes, those beautiful dresses, and you're like, oh my God, I'm buying that. That is your gut instinct as well. That is actually gut instinct. That is your body telling you, oh, pleasure. Right? So your gut instinct is designed to do two things only. Keep you safe, away from danger. So, for example, when you're about to walk down this dark alleyway, and then something just doesn't sit right with you, you're like, oh my God, that it's just dodgy. Something's just dodgy. It's better to avoid that. That is your gut instinct. Listen to it, because it's there to keep you away from danger. But it's not intuition. Intuition and gut instinct are different. Intuition is there to guide us. Okay? Intuition is there to guide us. And most of the time, our intuition does not even make sense, because it's the unknown. Intuition is only intuition because it's unknown to us. It's a download. It's like this message. It's like, just do this. I'm like, huh? But that doesn't even make sense. Why should I do that? The mind cannot rationalize with logic why you're getting this message. That is your intuition. If you can rationalize it, then it's not your intuition. If you can make sense out of it, it's not intuition. Just like I didn't feel like going to that event, right? Because I was tired. I was like, and my rationalization, my mind was saying, you know, what's the point? You know all of this stuff. You probably won't learn anything anyway. You know, it's rationalizing. But something inside of me just said, just go. And I don't know why. I had no idea why. It just didn't make sense for me to go, but something was compelling me to go. That is intuition. Intuition is there to guide us through the unknown. So if you have any pens and paper, make sure you write this down. Our intuition is there to guide us through the unknown. It's not supposed to make sense, and you can never truly rationalize it because it's something that we've not done before. Intuition, like Steve Jobs said, is connecting the dots together. Like, you can never connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. That means your intuition is always giving you something new to do. It's always telling you to go for the unknown. So you can never make sense of it. It's only when you make sense of it, it's only when you've done it, then you can look back and say, oh my God, I can see why all this have happened. I'm sure you can relate. If you look back at all the events and that's happened in your life, right? You can connect the dots together. Because of this happened, that's why that happened. And then because that happened, I was able to do this. And the opportunity arose for me to do this. Had I not done that, had I not done step A, step B would not have happened, right? You can only make sense of it when you've done it and you've looked back. That's what Steve Jobs says. You can only connect the dots looking backwards, but you can never connect the dots looking forward. And that is exactly what intuition is. So I've tackled what intuition is not. Intuition is not the rationalization of things. Intuition is not the gut instinct, that gut feeling when it comes to danger, when it comes to impulse buying. Intuition never makes sense, okay? That's how you know. So what is intuition? Well, intuition is actually the ability to observe the obvious. Like I said, intuition is not some far-fetched spiritual concept, right? Kirsty said, "How do you get out of your head when the rational mind is drowning out of intuition?" That's a very great question, Kirsty. I will answer that very shortly. It's actually on my list to talk about. But I want to tell you what intuition really is first. Intuition is the ability to observe the obvious. So it's not something so far-fetched. It's not like a download calling. It's not like this. So sometimes it is that passive voice in your head. Sometimes it's this metaphorical image in your head. Sometimes it is that energy, that sense of knowing within your body. But it comes down to observing what's obvious. An intuitive person is someone who can cut through all the noise, right? Cut through all of the noise, like you say, Kirsty, cut through all of the noise in our mind and all of the noise from the outside, all of the distraction, and actually just see very clearly with laser beam focus, see very, very clearly through all of the mist and all of the noise, what is true for us in life. What is it that we must do? What specific action step must we take in order to create what we want in life, in order to create what we love? The ability to observe the obvious, the ability to see the path ahead of us clearly. That is what intuition is. Because like I said, intuition is there to guide us through the unknown. So in logical sense, in scientific phrase, it's the ability to observe the obvious. One of the best analogy I could use is for those of you who've not seen Sherlock Holmes. Have you seen Sherlock Holmes? Anyone seen Sherlock Holmes, by the way? The latest series with what's the guy's name? Benedict Cumberbatch. All right, very, very popular guy right now. Episode 1, A Study in Pink. Watch that. Watch episode 1. And basically it's when he first met Watson, and they had to study. They was looking at this dead corpse, so a dead body, the woman in pink, basically. And Sherlock has this amazing ability to deduce what was going on and what happened through the very small amount of details that he was able to see. And it was fascinating, and everyone else was confused, like how the hell did he deduce that? and Watson asked him a question. Hey AJ, nice to see you, bro. And Watson was like, I'm looking at the same thing that you're looking. How is it you're able to deduce such a theory? And how? And this is what Sherlock said. It's beautiful. Sherlock said, Watson, you see, but you do not observe. And he actually said it was obvious. He always says it. If you follow the series, Sherlock says it's obvious, right? Believe it or not, Sherlock Holmes is actually a very intuitive person. Sherlock Holmes has the ability to see what's obvious, but it's more through his physical eyes rather than the mind eye. Okay? So we have the physical eyes and we have the third eye, which is the mind eye. But Sherlock Holmes has the ability to cut through all of the crap and see exactly and observe very clearly what is going on in the physical world. So he was a very, very intuitive person. And he used that phrase. He said, Watson, you see what I see, but you do not observe. And then he went on to talking about, you know, where all the clues were, because he was observing all the clues. So it's about observation. It's not about seeing, it's about observation. So intuition really is just the ability to observe the obvious. That's what intuition is. And there is a way to develop that skill. And I've been growing that skill and developing that skill for the past 2 years. The more I grow, the more I develop my intuition, the more I am able to see how obvious things are in the world. Because I start to see things in a very structural point of view. When someone behaves dysfunctionally, I can see exactly what's going on. When someone is sabotaging themselves, I see exactly what's going on. When I'm sabotaging myself, I see what's going on. I see exactly what my ego is trying to do. All right? So I can see very clearly. I have the ability to really observe the obvious things in life right now. So that is what makes you an intuitive person, when you can see the obvious, when you can observe what's obvious around you. So, how to access intuition? Who's ready to learn, by the way? So, like I said, I'm going to put a picture in your head, okay? Our results and our reality is created from our subconscious mind, okay? You may or may not already know this. So it's our subconsciousness that actually creates our reality. It's our subconsciousness that creates the results that we have in our life. And it does that by creating our behavior pattern. It does that by creating action, right? We don't take action in life unless the subconscious tells us to, because it's the subconsciousness that does all of the doing. It does all of the creating and the doing. Now, our belief system, this is why I don't, replacing limiting beliefs with empowering beliefs and all of that stuff, that's all good. It's all good to get started, especially when you're in the victim phase of your life. But it's overrated because our belief system is just one input into the subconscious. Okay? Our belief system, our ego, has one message, is always consistently putting message into our subconscious on the unconscious level. We then have a self-conscious aspects of our mind that we are always rationalizing. That's also right. That's the mind part, where we are rationalizing. We're trying to make sense of things. We're logical. We're trying to problem. So that's the part of the mind of our mind that we are problem solving. Okay, the problem solving part of the mind is the logic the self-conscious part of the mind, the logic, the rationalization. And that is also one input into the subconsciousness. So there's the unconscious input, there's the self-conscious input, but we also have the superconscious input. The superconsciousness aspect of our mind is the soul, and it does that through intuition. Okay? So there are 3 inputs. There are 3 specific inputs, messages that is going into our subconscious every single day. The only difference is the unconscious part of our mind, the belief system, is so loud. Like you say, Kirsty, it's always loud, it's there at the back of my mind. It's because of our daddy's issue, our mummy issue, our beliefs created from childhood is always loud. And when we wake up in the morning, for example, we're always in ego. When we wake up early in the morning, we are in default our ego, and the first thing that happens is the first input that gets feed into the subconsciousness is the unconscious mind. You know, when you wake up and you're not thinking, right? And you just go brush your teeth and you do your usual habit. Okay, so like when you drink a lot of alcohol, when you get drunk, you can't think properly. Guess what's taking over? It's the ego. It's the unconscious aspect of your mind, the belief system that is playing out. That is why a lot of people, when they get drunk, they can't control themselves. They just their arguments, and alcohol amplifies who we really are underneath, right? And the intuition part. So when we're sober, we can then activate our self-conscious aspect of our mind, but it's the superconscious aspect of our mind, because we don't train it enough, that we have less access into it, because it's a whisper. Like Steven Spielberg said, it's the whisper of the heart. It's that whisper of the heart. That's the intuition part. Intuition doesn't shout, it whispers to you. It's giving you glimpses of clues here and there. And most of the time we get it through an inspiration. We get it through a moment of inspiration. And it only happens when we stop thinking. Most of the time we accidentally access our intuition when we stop thinking. For example, I'm not sure if you can relate, but most people, myself included, when we have a shower, when I'm in the shower and I'm singing along with my MP3 player, with my speakers, but with my music blast out loud, and I'm in this very happy creative mode, and all I'm doing is minding my own business, washing my hair, singing out loud. Suddenly I get this inspiration. Suddenly I get this idea pop into my head. It's like, oh my God, I could do this. Where does that inspiration come from? Where does that creativity comes from? That is your intuition. That is the whisper of your heart when you are not thinking, and when you are not putting power into your belief system. That allows the chance for our superconsciousness to speak through us, to tell us, hey, do this. This is going to work. And you're like, oh my God, that's a genius idea. That's how we get moment of inspiration, when suddenly when we pause our thinking for a second, and we're not focusing on our belief system, and we're just focusing on the end result that we want to create. That is when our soul speaks to us. That is when our intuition comes through to us. Does that make sense, guys? By the way, any question, feel free to drop down below and ask me. So how do we access our intuition? Well, I like to say it's only, you see, because like I said, your ego creates, your ego is governed by belief system, right? Kirsty also, we have to stop thinking to hear our intuition. Is that why visualization is so key? Yes, Kirsty, you are right. You are right. That's one aspect of the puzzle. That's one key to the puzzle. That's one of the that's one of the keys to the doors. Visualization helps because we stop thinking. When we stop thinking and we just visualize into the end result of what we want to create, we're giving intuition a chance to speak through us, okay? Now, the ego is governed by our belief system. And our ego has an agenda. By the way, guys, your ego is your best friend. Don't mistake it to be your enemy. Our ego is always our best friend. Our ego wants exactly what we want. So let's just say you want to be a world-class singer. Your ego wants that as well. Your heart wants to be a world-class singer. Your soul knows you are a world-class singer. But your ego doesn't believe you are complete. The ego has an ulterior agenda, an ulterior motive, and an alternative agenda. And that is to seek completion. So it wants what you want, but it believes, your ego believes that before you can get what you want in life, you have to complete yourself. Does that make sense? So I'll give you an example. Let's just say, again, you want to be a world-class singer, and you know you were born to be a world-class singer, like Beyonce, for example, or Adele. Your ego has this belief that I'm not ready. I'm not complete. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Wait. Before we can have what we want in life, before we can become a world-class singer, we need to do this. We need to take singing lesson. We need to be in a choir. We need to learn this. We need to get a voice coach. We need to go through X Factor. Right? We need to do this. We need to do this. We need to do this. We need to do this before we can become a world-class singer. Have you ever heard yourself saying all the time, I need to do this? Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I should do this. That's your ego talking. The truth is you don't ever need to do anything. There are only, the fourth secret to magic mentioned by William Whitecloud in the book The Magician Way is there is never anything to do, only action to take. The doing is your ego trying to tell you to do all of these things before you can go for what you want. Whereas your soul, your heart, knows straight away. It's just like, no, just do that. Forget about all of this, just do that. Okay? So, your soul will tell you to just sing. Just keep practicing singing and keep singing and keep singing until you get so good at it. Just sing. Just stand on stage and sing. Whereas your ego will be like, I'm not good enough. Oh my God, I need to, I need a voice coach. I need a trainer. I need to work in a team and a group. Oh my God, I need to build my credibility up first. Oh my God, I should do a few more, gigs, singing gigs before I go for the big stage. You know what I'm saying? That is the ego taking you round the bend. And that is what we call negative vision, by the way. That is what negative vision is. And negative vision is the final, one of the final steps, one of the final obstacle that the ego basically takes us around the bend, the long way round, in order to complete ourselves. So that is why a lot of goal setting in the personal development world is overrated. All right, I don't even do any goal setting in life because I know when I do goal setting, it has when I do goal settings, but only I do goal settings for short-term goals that contributes to my long-term vision. But the goal is not my goal. The goal is just like the next step that I need to achieve in order to achieve my real goal. That is the true vision. Okay, but most people in the personal development world, even in the entrepreneur, forget personal development, in the entire world, most people in the entire world think they have a goal. You think you have a goal. I challenge you. You think you know what you want in life. I really challenge you. This is where I challenge you to really think what you set out to do, what you set out to achieve in life. I challenge you to really sit down and think, is that what you really want? Or is that what you think and believe you should achieve before you can go for what you want in life? It's usually the ultimate end result behind the goal that you set for yourself. That is what you really want. That is your vision, not the one you set for yourself. That is why goal setting is overrated when it comes to personal development. It's not about goal setting. It's about understanding and finding out what is it you're here to do and what is that ultimate end vision, that ultimate true vision and end result that you are here to create. And then you apply the goal setting process to create short-term goals that lead you towards creating that end result. Does that make sense, guys? Kirsty say, I'm so happy to hear that about goal setting. Yes, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day goals. Brilliant. I'm glad this is serving you. So how do you access your intuition? So the ego gives you negative vision. Your soul will tell you what your true visions are. And it is only through one way can we realize what our true vision is, and that is awareness. So write this down. If you have a piece of paper and a pen in front of you, write this down. Awareness is key. It all starts with awareness. All transformational breakthrough starts with awareness. Think about it. All of the breakthroughs you had in your life started with you becoming aware of the problem. It started with you becoming aware of what is really going on. All transformational breakthrough in life starts from awareness. And awareness is the ultimate theme of Buddhism, right? Buddhists, they talk about awareness all the time. The teaching of Buddha himself, the entire teaching, the whole theme is around awareness, raising your awareness. The entire theme of the Bible And the Quran is all based around awareness. It's awareness. Awareness is what gives us choices in life. It's like, I like to use an example where if I say choose, you have a choice. You can choose A, B, or C. Which one would you pick? You have A, B, and C. Which one would you like? Well, you're either going to pick A, or you're either going to pick B, or you're either going to pick C. But what I did not tell you is that D, E, F is also available. I just didn't tell you. But D, E, F is also an option. You see, we are only aware of the choice. We only have choices in what we are aware of, right? Awareness is what gives us choices in life. And it's when we have choice is when we can put the power in what we truly, truly want. Most people think they have choices in life. They don't even know what the true vision is. They're not even aware. They think they have choices. They think they know what their goal is. But most of the time, they're going for their negative vision. So awareness really is key. But how do we become aware? That's the question. How do we truly become aware? The only way to become aware, well, one of the ways, so you can practice meditation and all of that stuff, Buddhism and all of that stuff, right? Everything in the religious scriptures, they teach you how to become more aware, but really it comes down to just one thing, because if you actually study it, if you study all of the holy scriptures and the religious scriptures and all of the philosophy and all of the mystic teaching, they all say the same thing in different ways, and that is innocence. Innocence. Innocence is the bridge to intuition. Innocence is the gateway to intuition. What do I mean? Innocence, in other words, most people call it mindfulness. Some people call it, most people is commonly known as mindfulness, but it's not really mindfulness. And it's basically, it's the ability to be in absolutely present in the moment. So not thinking about the past and not thinking about the future. The problem is most of us are either thinking about the past or we're thinking about the future. we're either reminiscing the past, or we're thinking about what happened yesterday and we get frustrated and we get depressed, or we're thinking ahead in time. What should I eat tonight? What should I do tonight? Or what's the plan tonight? Or what's happening next week? You know, our mind are consistently either in the past or in the future. And as Lao Tzu said, Lao Tzu says it best, when you're living in the past, you're depressed. When you're living in the future, you're anxious. But when you live in the present moment, you get true happiness. And it takes practice to live in the present moment. And that is what meditation is designed to do. Meditation is designed to help us live in the moment. Like just being totally aware of each second that is passing by in our life. And that is what allows us to stop thinking. Because when we're thinking, we're either thinking about the past or we're thinking about the future, right? That's why we're thinking. That's why we're thinking in the first place. We're either thinking about something that happened or something that's going to happen. To stop thinking, one of the ways to do, the only way to stop thinking is to be absolutely present and observe what is going on right at this current moment in time. Does that make sense? So the ability to be completely present, 100% present, is like, you know, when you sit down having a one-to-one chat with your intimate partner or with a close friend and family member, and you're fascinated, and you give that person your 100% attention, and that person gives you their 100% attention. What does that happen? It creates ultimate intimacy and connection, doesn't it? We all want that. And that is what I mean when we say we should be absolutely present. And that is what innocence really is. And innocence is the ability to be completely present. That's what it is. And the reason why it's called innocence, because innocence is what we have in the beginning as children. Who are the most intuitive people in the world? Let me ask you, who are the most intuitive people in the world? It's children. Children are the most intuitive beings on this planet. We were born intuitive. We were born creative. We were born to be happy. We were born happy. We were the embodiment of happiness. But somewhere along the line, our ego, somewhere along the line, our parents came in and say, no, we can't do that. We cannot do that. And or do this or do that and do that. And we forgot. We forgot what it feels like to be innocent. We forgot what it felt like to be innocent. And we actually disregard it, thinking innocence is naive. Innocence is not naive. Okay? Innocence is not the same as naivety. Innocence is the ability to be completely present and just observing what's around you. It's like a little child looking around, like, oh my God. And we're fascinated. We're just fascinated with life. That's what innocence is. Innocence is the more you can embody innocence, the more you can practice being in innocence every single day. That is how you develop your intuition. That is how you can grow. That is how you can work that superconscious muscle every time. And that is when you're opening the doors to intuition to come through to you every single time. Okay? Kirsty said you have to jump off. We'll catch up and play back. Thank you. This has been amazing. So much incredible value. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Take care, Kirsty. Have a good night. And yeah, definitely. So that's what intuition really is. Intuition is that's what innocence really is. Innocence is the ability to stay completely present in the moment. Whew. I need a sip of my coffee first. So, and this what's been, this is exactly what's been said in every single religious scriptures. I'll give you the Bible, for example, right? Jesus Christ said that only as a child can you enter the kingdom of God. And he also said it in a different way, in a different parable, where it's like, those who are last will be first. Those who serve, he's talking about service, he's talking about leadership. Those who are last and serving others will always be the first. And only through, and he said, yeah, so only as a child, only as an innocent child will you ever enter the kingdom of God. That is what he's talking about. Only as a child will we ever hear the divine message coming through us. As a child. Only as a child. Innocence is the key to intuition. Innocence, the ability to practice staying in innocence every single day, in every moment that you have, every opportunity you get, that is what allows you to become more intuitive. I am actually speaking to you now intuitively. I have a structure, but I don't have any content that pre-written. I'm speaking to you intuitively. Because I know my stuff, but then it's about letting the words just come through. The only reason why I'm able to do that, to add value to you right now, is because I'm in innocence. I'm actually in innocence. I'm 100% committed to you. I'm 100% committed to delivering this Facebook Live, and I'm 100% present with you. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not looking at anything else. I'm not being distracted. I am 100% present and in innocence to do this. That is why I'm able to speak through to you innocently. I'm speaking from the heart. And that is what it means by speaking from the heart. When you're speaking from the heart, you're in innocence. When you're speaking from your mind, when you're in your head, you are trying to think about how you're going to say something. That's not innocence. You're in your ego, right? So the ability to speak from your heart is also an intuitive ability. It's the ability to stay in innocence and serve. So that's that. So finally, how can we continue to develop our intuition then? I would like to say this. I'd like to start with this quote. Oh, it's not even a quote, it's actually a premise, by the way. And the premise is, imagination is the psychic realm of intuition. Let me say that again. Imagination is the psychic realm of intuition. So is it true that other people can tell the future, can see the future? Is it true that people can read into your past life? Is it true that people can, psychics can read your fortune, for example? Yeah, more or less. But how accurate are they? How accurate are they really? The accuracy of psychic ability comes from you knowing what's metaphor and what's literal. Okay, and and it comes through to you through one way only, and that's your imagination. Because at the end of the day, let me tell you this: anyone who's psychic, that has this intuitive ability, who can see things, who can see energy, read energy, or see the angels, or see into the future, or read into your past life, and all of that stuff. Okay, they're doing it through their imagination. They are making it up. Yes, they are making it up. But the power is in the making it up. That's what creativity is. Think about it. Don't ever discount making it up. Right? When we make things up in life, and in actual fact, our whole life is made up. We made up our whole life. We keep telling the stories in our mind that we made all of these up, so our whole life is made up anyway. The power is actually in the making of it, in the making up. That's what creativity is, isn't it? When you write a book, when you write a fictional book, you're making up the story as you go along. You're making up the character. When you're drawing, when you're painting a masterpiece, you are making it up. When you write a piece of creative song, a love song, for example, you are making it up. So the ability to make things up is where is where your genius lies. Your genius make things up. That is what we call creativity. There's power in making things up. There's power in creativity. So there is power in the psychic realm, known as what we call the imagination. Imagination. As Albert Einstein says, logic will take you far in life, but logic will take you from A to B, but imagination will take you everywhere. One of the most rational, logical scientists in the world, in history, Albert Einstein, said that logic is nothing compared to imagination, because he understood this premise. He understood how powerful the imagination really is. The imagination is where the psychic realm is. Your imagination, your ability to access your imagination, is what allows you to become to make things up, to be creative, to be intuitive. So it's exercising the imagination that will allow you to develop your intuition. So there's two ways to there's actually many ways. I'm going to give you like a few ways, maybe three specific steps in what you can start doing to develop your intuition. Okay. The first thing that I do is every morning, because like I said, every morning as we wake up, we are in our ego. So every morning, the moment I wake up, the first thing I do is I go down, I drink a glass of water, and then I brush my teeth, and I wash my face, and I go back to my comfort space, but not in bed. I'm not going back to bed. I'm sitting down, and I turn on my meditation music, and I go straight into meditation. So the first thing I do is I go into meditation, I breathe, I focus on breathing. I spend about 2 minutes just focusing on my breath, putting myself back into my into my present moments. Okay, being present, and then I do a guided not guided meditation. I do a guided meditation, but I do a visualization process called it's basically it's visualization process called is an innocence, right? I go into innocence. It's called innocence guided meditation process. So I go into innocence, and typically how I do it is just I imagine looking into the eyes of an innocent child, and then I imagine myself becoming that child, just looking around my surrounding, just in awe, in wonder, and in fascination, and then I imagine I become a bright golden star, where I'm shining my bright lights around to my surroundings, and then until the entire space around me is covered in my light. So I'm completely empty, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future. Any thoughts and feelings that's appearing in my mind, I just allow it to just stay at the back of my mind and just slowly let it fade away. And I'm just completely focusing on emptiness, becoming empty and becoming completely innocent and present. I practice doing that. And then I and then I go into what my land of plenty, which is another guided meditation process. I go into my land of plenty, which is a metaphor for they talk about this. You know, that's what paradise is, utopia, that fantasy world, Atlanta, for example, the sunken ocean of Atlanta, a Pride Rock from Lion King. You know, these are all metaphors for this place called Land of Plenty, which is inside our heart. It's basically to put it, if I was to speak about it, so that's metaphorically speaking and spirituality and speaking in spiritual phrases, but logically speaking, it's basically all we're really doing is we're exercising going back to our heart, because we're always up in our head. So that process allows us to take us from our head back to our heart. That's all it does. That's the whole purpose of the meditation. I do that, and every day, every moment that I have, every time I'm always practicing I always imagine myself as a golden star. I pull myself back to becoming innocent. I keep trying to become innocent every single time, especially when a heated argument is about to arise, or when there's conflict about to happen, or when you see conflict happening outside of you. That's a sign for me to say, go, okay, back into innocence and just observe what's obvious. That's what I do. I practice doing that every single day. Another thing you can do is practice writing. And that is why, as Napoleon Hill and Jim Rohn says the best, right? There is magic in putting things on. There is magic when you put your pen on paper. There is magic when you write down what's in here down on paper, because you can start to make things up. So one of the things I love to do is to make a lot of things up. So one of the way to develop your intuition is go back to being creative. That's all. So if you love to draw and you love to paint, do more drawing. Just keep drawing, keep painting. I'm a musician, so I love to play the piano and I love to improvise. I love going on my piano, going on the two keys, and I improvise. I love improvising. I love making it up. I have structures. I know how to make songs. I'm a composer as well. I can write music. I've written a few songs already, and I just love composing. I just love making it up, making things up. And any processes, or make up or write books, write fictional books, just make things up. Do some storytelling, for example. Make it up. The more you practice making things up, the more intuitive you will become, the more you can develop your intuition. So practice being in the space of creativity. Allow yourself to be creative. So I practice I practice innocence, going into innocence, and I always practice being creative. The third thing that I do is I don't do this as often as I should, I'll be honest with you, okay? But I'm starting to get back into the gear of things now. So every night, most evening before I go to bed, I go back into innocence as well. And then I do another different guided meditation called Spirit Guide. We all have a spirit guide, okay? We all have an animal totem. We all have an angel. We all have an alien or a Pokemon. We all have our spirit guide that is there to guide us. And mine is a butterfly. Every time I go into my spirit guide meditation, I always see a purple butterfly talking to me, whispering to me, flying, fluffing around. So my animal totem, my spirit animal, my spirit guide is always this purple small butterfly. And the first time I saw it, I was like, why can't I have a wolf? Why can't I have an eagle? Why can't I have something cool? Why does it have to be a butterfly? But apparently purple butterflies represents transformation. So there you go. But I practice my spirit. I practice every night, or most nights, to access my spirit guided meditation, to ask my spirit guide what I need to know. So I would have a very specific question. It could be business related, it could be relationship related, it could be health related, it could be anything that's important to you. A question that you need answers, okay? And rather than asking a coach or a mentor or my mum or my dad, I ask my spirit guide. And then my spirit guide will tell me and will give me a symbol, and then I will put it down onto paper and I'll start writing, and then I will make it up. And then as I make things up, it becomes more apparent what the answer becomes. So those are the 3 things I practice doing. But like I said, the most powerful way to develop your intuition is practice being in innocence. And that is whether you're doing it through meditation, whether you are doing it through mindfulness, whether you're doing it through visualization, or whether you are just being creative and stop thinking and you're just in that creative moments, right? You want to practice being in innocence and stop thinking. And being completely present, because the more you are able to be completely present and just observe what's obvious, you become a very intuitive person. So, but that's the receiving part. Your intuition is the feminine aspects of your consciousness, right? Your intuition is feminine, which means it receives. It's that receiving of the divine message. But we have to then put it into a form. We have to masculine it. We have to put it into a masculine structure, into a form. And that is, we do that either by writing things down, or we do it by taking action, passionate action, inspired action towards that message. Because otherwise, it's volatile. The intuition is volatile. It just disappears. If you don't follow through, if you don't take action straight away, or if you don't put it down onto paper straight away, what tends to happen is we will get the intuitive message, but then our ego comes and sabotage it straight away by saying, right, how do we do this? What should we do? What do we need to do before we can do this? Does that make sense? I believe that's it, really. That's how we develop our intuition, and that is how we can improve our ability to be more intuitive and create what we love in life, and create success and create a fulfilled life. So I hope tonight has been able to serve you. I hope I've been able to serve you tonight through my Facebook Live. If there is any question you have in regards to what I've talked about tonight, I've either put a comment down below, or post it into the Beautiful You community group, or if you want to keep it private, you can always just private message me, and I'm more than happy to answer your question. If anyone is interested, so Ollie actually is allowing me to say this and to promote something, and that is, I have a 2-day workshop on September 23rd and the 24th of September. It's a 2-day workshop. It's a clarity workshop, and in the workshop we go through identifying what is really important to you, what are your values, and what's really holding you back, and we go through topics like negative visions. And day 2, we actually talk about true vision and how do you discover what your true vision is. And I will even show, and I have a really powerful, fun exercise on day 2 in the afternoon, where I show you exactly. We have a conflict process. Where I show you exactly how your ego is specifically sabotaging you without you knowing. So it's very, very powerful. If anyone is interested, feel free to message me, or I'll probably drop a link below depending on what Ollie prefers. And I'm gonna create a code called Beautiful You. If anyone is interested, just sign up, and as a bonus, what I'll do is I am more than happy to give you 30 minutes of intuitive reading, a psychic reading into what your genius is and how your ego sabotage you. If that's in the interest of you, I am happy to give that as a bonus for free for those of you who sign up to my workshop in September. So apart from that, I love you all. Thank you very much, AJ. It's been an honor to have you here tonight. I hope I was able to serve you, and yeah, that's it. I love you all, and I'm very grateful to be part of this group. And I will be off now. But again, if anyone's interested, do let me know about the workshop. Do let me know, or if anyone's got any questions, just message me. Okay. Apart from that, stay strong, stay focused, and stay shining brightly. See you guys next time.